This is just a first shot. We will have a FAQ. We'll have some feedback, and any questions are asked. If we can't answer it here, we will be answering it. We'll communicate you the next couple of weeks. But we are partners throughout this process, and I'm really excited about the ability to make an impact this summer. I'm not sure if you were able to read the Herald this morning. It does talk about our partnership with the school system and how to support kids in our summer programs where they're having fun, but give them the academic supports to help them for the future. So thank you again. Thank you. Thank you to the trust staff who worked hard to prepare this together. And I think I will be turning it over to Stephanie, correct?
I'll take it first and then turn it over to Stephanie. Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Juliet.
So this is our agenda for today. It looks like it's only 5 items, but we really have a lot of information to share with you. So we will start with Stephanie with a nice little icebreaker. Then I'll go over some safety update, and we have the associate director to cover programmatic update, and we have the finance team to do the finance update. Then we'll turn over around 11. We'll turn over to Miami-Dade County Public School. That's going to go over a lot of information that we're very excited about to share. So some quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, don't wait until the presentation. You can put them in the chat. Feel free to use the chat for questions, and you know how to private message. If you want to send a question to one person, you can do private message, but if you don't want to share with everybody else, you can pick the person you want to send the question to. But for the most part, feel free to use the chat for that. There's no guarantee today we're going to get to all the questions, but for sure we're going to follow up with the answers, with a list of anything we share today, PowerPoint, resources. We're going to send you a follow-up email after today with all the answers from your question, if we didn't get a chance to cover them. Also with the link of all the information we provide today. So then to make sure you keep your microphone muted throughout the presentation if you're not speaking, please. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie for a little fun activity.
Well, thank you, Juliet, and welcome to everybody. Today, I have a really small piece on the agenda and the fun piece. Normally, I'm the one that's bringing all of the rules and regulations and so forth, but Juliet's going to do that today. So I get to have the fun, and Juliet gets to be the enforcer. And so, you know, always thinking about how to make something great, just kind of like get everybody in a great space to receive information. And so what we want to talk about is using our imagination. This summer, we're going to be have the kids use their imagination. So how can we use our imagination? So for the next few minutes, we want you to imagine going on a vacation, which probably you'll all feel like you need at the end of summer. And our question to you is, and we want to vote, what's your ideal vacation? Going by the beach and just hanging out, doing a road trip, just driving through the country. You know, if you guys know, Mr. Holmes is probably driving through, he has a massive RV and he's been driving through the country, or hitting up one of these hot, sexy cities and just living it up. So we're gonna put a poll in the Zoom and we want you to vote which one is your favorite ideal vacation spot. So you should have gotten a pop-up on your screen that said for which one you want, and then if you click on whichever option and click submit, so we can tally it. That would be great. We're not going to be doing a raffle and giving a vacation. But that's a good one. I love it. See, we're using our imagination. We can create. We will definitely give you the space to be able to imagine going to one of these vacations. I'm going to be going. I don't know if my next vacation actually fits into any one of these things, but in August, to celebrate turning 49 again, I'm going to be going to Martha's Vineyard. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know which one fits in. So I've been imagining going and riding my bicycle around and reading the stack of books that I have, just basically doing nothing else. So. Are we all finished with the polls? Everybody submitted their information? Great. So Tropical Beach. Oh, that's wonderful. We all live in Miami, so that means that we're all into staycations. Very easy. We could have our vacations happening during the course of us working. We don't have to pack our bags and go somewhere else. Well, I want to say thank you for taking the time and just kind of like relaxing. And now all the fun, intense thing, I ask you to pay close attention to Juliet and team. They've worked really hard, and we really want you to also pay close attention when Miami-Dade County Public School representatives comes on. We've been telling them that we're a great facilitator and conduit to the providers, so best behavior. Thank you, everybody. Juliet, it's all you.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. So I would not take a lot of time to go over, next slide, please, some safety update. It's just really a quick reminder. And like I said again, we're going to follow up with some information of document. We have the document released by the county, by the mayor. Recently, we're gonna have a link to that in our website so you can, review it. I'm sure you've seen it already. And for the most part, I would say about our providers. Next slide, please. We never had, during last summer, we didn't have any real outbreak in our camp. Usually they were adults who tested positive, but they were contained. So we didn't have to shut down entirely, like entire camp, maybe like one classroom. So we thank you for that, because we know you're already doing the right thing. You're doing safety precautions. So we want to thank you for that. So as usual, this year we're going to share PPE with you, some PPE item. So we don't have a solid date, but we're thinking around early June. We'll host like a big event, not only to give you PPE, but later on you're gonna hear from Miami-Dade County Public School. They're gonna give us some curriculum also for the student. So you'll hear more about that later on. So we wanna make that a big event to celebrate all you do, and while we're giving you free equipment to take back to your camp. So that's coming soon with an actual date. So you can be prepared for that. And the equipment pretty much, we're gonna have adult masks, children masks, cleaning solution, hand sanitizer, and gloves. I believe we're gonna have gloves as well. So we're gonna do a drive-by, so we expect to see you all there. And we're gonna have a process. So Sabine is our contact person for that. She's going to follow up with an email with all the detailed information you need for that day. Whatever information we wanna collect from you ahead of time, please, when you see that email, give it to us, because we wanna have a quick turnaround. Because we know June gonna be right. We're gonna cut it close to start off camp. So we wanna make sure we have it very organized. So when we ask you for the information, please provide it to us. So we just wanna share, we're very happy about the support we received from the community this year. People approach us about all kinds of partnerships, and we wanna highlight two partnerships around vaccination. So we have two, Jesse Tri's Community Health Center and CHI. They reach out to us for partnership around vaccination, and we've been facilitating that with some of providers. So thank you so much. So many people sign up, and it's been going very well. If you're not aware of this, opportunity, talk to your program manager, and we share the information with you on how you can get your staff and family vaccinated. Those are my two really big updates on safety. So I will turn it over to, so that's the document. That's how the Miami-Dade County guideline look like. You'll get a link to that, and also some reference to CDC, because we always go by CDC as well. So you'll get that with a follow-up email. So let's turn it over to some programmatic update.
Good morning, everyone. So good to see your faces. I missed the opportunity to see you in person, but look forward to having the opportunity to see your services in action. So this morning, I'm going to provide an update on our modified service plans and service expectations. So many of you on this calls were the ones that received the communication about how we're modifying for summer services. And I am so pleased to announce in partnership with you and through communication with your plans that 99% of all our summer programs will have an in-person component. We're really, really excited about that. And we thank you for taking the time to plan out and plan with us for your summer programs. I'm going to continue and give you a little bit more information about our expectations around activities and what that looks like. So we're on task, and we communicated to everyone, and we had over 150 plans that were reviewed, and we promised to get back to you by this week. And we've done so and communicated all the plans, including if there were any adjustments. So we provided the opportunity for 3 modalities: in-person programming, limited virtual programming, and a hybrid, which is a combination program. So I'm going to go over a little bit each one of those and talk about the expectations regarding these programs. So if you were approved to do in-person program, that means that at a minimum, 30 of your participants had to be done. You had to serve 30 participants at a minimum. And I would say majority of our programs are serving 100%, but the sort of the threshold that we looked at was 70% of your participants being served. And what we're looking at for services and what you're going to do is look to your contract. And the expectation is whatever is in your contract, with the exception of anything that you might have noted in your plan around hours of operation, around the activities. The expectation is that you are going to provide those activities and the services, including the time and the days of operation that are in your contract. And in addition to that, before we move the slide, we included the opportunity and the partnership with Miami-Dade County Public Schools for the enhanced academic supports that will be integrated into your programs. Okay, next. And then we did offer the opportunity, because we knew that there were some exceptions that we would consider for limited virtual programming. And we put some restrictions on it because it is challenging to have virtual services with youth and keeping them engaged. So we put time limits on those. And for the K-5 programs, this is our youth development programs that work with kids that are in kindergarten through 5th grade, and our early childhood programs. There's a 3-hour maximum for the virtual services. And for the youth development programs, there is a 4-hour daily maximum. We are allowing staff to have an hour of planning. And this set of programs, there isn't an enhanced academic support partnership with Miami-Dade Public School, and you're expected to implement the activities that are in your contract as detailed here. Next. And then we do have some programs that opted to provide a hybrid. And in these circumstances, you're providing both options, with the majority of the youth receiving services in the in-person modality. The hybrid programs have a little or smaller component of virtual services. And in the case, you would follow both the requirements for in-person and virtual. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Rachel Spector, to give you some additional details on our summer meals and other activities.
Thank you, Babon. Good morning, everyone. I hear feedback. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see so many of our partners here today. I'm just going to provide a little bit of information about summer meals. Basically, that the expectation is that meals should be provided during the summer as they always are. Everybody did receive email from one of our program managers regarding Flippany's services this summer. So if for some reason you didn't, or you have questions about getting services from Flippany, please reach out to your program manager. If you used other vendors aside from Flippany in the past, now's the time to reach out to them and start getting going on the summer meals. And then if you're operating in Miami-Dade County Public School sites, they are going to address that in the upcoming presentation later this morning and share some information about how that will work. Next slide, thank you. So regarding incident reporting, everyone has been doing an amazing job of notifying us when there has been an incident and either a child, a participant, or a staff have tested positive for COVID. So we just want to remind everyone to please continue to be on top of that and report within 24 hours if there are any campers or staff that do test positive. Everyone has an incident form, so it is important to sort of let us know who tested positive. Of course, not sharing any personal identifiable information, but maybe using initials, however oh, can you go back? Thank you. However you typically provide the information, and then sort of, you know, what happened and what is the plan moving forward. It's really important for us that you include how you're planning to transition the services during the closure. Are you closing one classroom? Are those children and staff going to be quarantined? Is the whole camp need to close down? That's sort of the information that we would like you to include. Of course, programs can transition to virtual services while any part or all of the groups are quarantined. There was a lot of, when we were reviewing all the surveys, there were a lot of questions around adding a virtual site and all of this. It's fine to just go ahead and continue entering all of your attendance as if you were still providing the services in person. And transition temporarily for, I believe it's 10 days or 14 days, and then you can transition back. But we would like to know the plan just so we can keep on top of sort of where people are at. And I think I am going to transition to Tatiana Canales, another of our Associate Director of Programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. As everyone has said, it's so nice to see so many of you, so many of the faces. So I get the honor of talking about our programmatic implementation and data expectations. I won't take too much time because we do have a guide that will have all these details in there. But we did want to call it out and let you know that there has been a guide for the school year time that shows you how you should enter your demographics, what are the expectations about the groups, what are the performance measure expectations. And so for the summer, we have done the same. As Juliet mentioned earlier, there will be a follow-up email with all the links to all the different resources that we have. We know that we have a lot of information, but the important thing for you to know is that there is a guide. We highly encourage you to sit down with your team and go through it because it does include a lot of important details regarding not only how to enter the data, and certain specific details about it, but also when it comes to some other pieces such as growth planning and observations. Mona, if you can go back, as well as demographics. And so the guide will be posted in our website by early next week. Again, you will get a follow-up email with the links. This is what the guide will somewhat look like. Again, it should look familiar because it mirrors our school year one, but with summer expectations. And you can go to the next slide. Now, there aren't many changes to the guide from what you've already seen this past school year, with the exception with some changes to the modalities. But there are something important that we really want to call out, and that we would like for all our provider community summer camps to work with us, which is to please enter the MDCPS student ID field accurately for all participants that have a MDCPS ID. This is really important for us to have this information. The guide will detail those expectations, and will also have exactly how you can enter those fields. And then the other important piece that has not been emphasized before, but that we will really like for everyone to work with, will be in the demographics. When you receive the demographics form, please enter it within 3 days of receiving it. Again, we are working very quickly. We're working in partnership with MDCPS, and so some of these things are in place so that we can work with them and provide accurate information and up-to-date information. So I know it's an ask that we have. It's a new ask, but we do ask that you please enter it within 3 business days, within 3 days of receiving the information. I do see that there's a question in the chat. Will there be a change in the participants demographic form? The participants demographic form, again, it will be, I'll include it in the follow-up email. The link to it, there is an update to it. It's minor, it's some language update, but it has already been updated on our website, and we'll include it in the follow-up email. Next slide. Something important that we know we want to call out that happens during the summer, and we know summer is extremely busy for everyone, so that's why we want to highlight it now, is that we will be having summer observations. These are similar to the observations that were done last summer. They're not CAT observations. They are programmatic observation. And so our window will be in the month of July. That's when we know that we'll be going out to observe. This gives some time for participants to acclimate to their environment, for everyone to get settled in. And then from there, we'll have a group of us, of observers that will be going out to your program to see, how's it going, how are services happening. But again, it's very similar to the observation that we did last year in the summer. Something important is that we will be asking for your program schedules. We know that those change slightly throughout time. So just be prepared to submit an updated schedule to us sometime in June, so that we can begin to plan out the logistics of the visits. I know this is far in advance. There's pros and cons to having these conversations so much ahead of time, but we do want you to be able to forecast and know what's upcoming. So there will be more information provided to you all. For now, this is just us letting you know what we know is coming and help you prepare for a successful summer. So I think from here, I am going to pass it on to the finance director, Lisanne. So thank you so much.
Kathy. Thanks, Kathy. Good morning, everybody. So great to see everyone's faces. Before I continue, there seems to be some feedback coming in. And so if you can just mute yourself if you're not talking, that would be helpful. So we have some finance updates for you today. You can go to the next slide, Juana. So we have produced another invoicing expectations guide, similar to the ones we've done last summer and the one for this past year. So it's posted on our website. As Tati said, it will also be sent out with all the resources that will be sent out after this meeting. I will, on the next slide, do a few highlights of what's on that. No, go back, Juana. On that, the guide. But before I go over there, I just wanted to talk about reallocations of expenses. So right now, as we are in summer planning and we have approved some of your plans already, this is a time for us to be working with the program managers and your accountants, look at your budget and see if you need to reallocate some expenses to certain line items that may have been depleted because of the year. So just that this is the time to look at that and do a revision so that we can make sure that you're good to go for summer. And then also something that's continuing that we've done since last summer is that we need to make sure attendance must be entered before reimbursements are processed. So just also make sure you stay on top of entering your attendance so that doesn't hold up the approval of your reimbursements. So just some things I wanted to highlight about the summer invoicing guide, because I know these were some questions that came up in summer plans. PPE, I know we are distributing some PPE items, but I also know that they may not be enough to take you through the entire summer. And so we are allowing that still as a cost you can bill to the trust in your budgets. On the guide, it does specify where you should bill these items, so it can help with your reallocation and revisions if you need to do any of those. Rent also, these are allowable costs. And I know utilities and security also associated with the space, those are also allowable. And the big question that kept coming up was around field trip and transportation. So field trips and transportations are allowable this summer. We're hoping that we do still maintain social distancing when we're doing those activities and following the CDC guidelines on that, but they are allowable costs. And so then also virtual field trips are limited and case by case because we are only providing limited virtual services. And so you need to organize that in combination with your program manager. So these are just some things we wanted to highlight. As I said, this invoicing guide is posted on our website. And if you do have any further questions around it, please reach out to your program manager and accountant. They can support and help you through this transition. And so now I am passing it over back to Juliet, I'm assuming.
Yes, thank you so much. So I'm very glad we were worried whether we're going to have time to cover questions before we turn it over to Miami-Dade County Public School. But I'm glad we have the time, and I see Anna with her hand, Anna Hernandez.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you didn't have a question, so we can check the chat, I believe.
There's a question in the chat from Camila Rocha.
Okay, so the question says, can you elaborate more on the limitation of virtual field trip? I want to limit the number of people coming to the centers. So are we welcome to have virtual field trips? Yeah. Listen, I don't know if you want to talk about what you mean by limited virtual or indoor field trips in terms of...
Yes, thank you, Juliet. So yes, you are allowed to have virtual field trips. I think the consensus is for virtual field trips is just that you need to just make sure you clear it with your program manager before you implement virtual field trips.
Any other questions?
There's a question in the chat, is indoor field trips allowable?
Yeah. I mean, I think we can lump indoor, virtual, you know, well, they're not the same, but kind of the same concept. The idea we want to encourage, because, you know, the kids, they've been in-house for a long time right now. So we're trying to push, you know, using safety precaution and measures. We want to make sure, like, if you're able to take kids out on a field trip, we encourage that, you know, by, you know, if you have it within your budget. We know for some people you may have to use like different, you know, buses, and instead of using one to kind of spread the kids, leave a seat in the middle for the, you know, so there's things you might have to do in order to accommodate for that. So we encourage you to look at your budget to see if you can accommodate for that. We encourage you to take kids out, not just stay inside. But there's some fun indoor activities. Of course, you can do them. Yeah, but we're just saying the idea is to make sure we get them out because they've been stressed and frustrated about indoors. So that's for the mental wellness. Yes, Bovan, go
and
ahead.
Juliet, if I could just add, I just to stress what Lisanne said, it's about communicating with your program managers, because I know for the YEN programs, the Youth Development 612 programs, field trips are tied to curriculum. So having that conversation to make sure that the field trips are the ones that are appropriate. So I would only stress that have the conversations with your program manager so they're aware of the adjustments that you might need to make around field trips.
Thank you, Bovan. I think Lisbeth, you raised your hand, right?
Yes, good morning. When is the deadline for us to submit the changes for the summer budget?
So do you have a year-round contract or do you have a summer only?
We have the year-round, yes. I know that I need to allocate some changes because there were some things that we didn't use during the year that we would like to move over to summer if possible. But when would be the deadline to submit that?
Yeah, I'll turn over to Lisanne, but the deadline is May 31st, but we encourage you to start doing it right now. Don't wait. So I'll turn it over to Lisanne.
Oh, yep. Thanks, Julia. You are correct. It's May 31st for if you're a year-round provider. But as Juliet said, the sooner you start, the better for you. And so if you know what you need to do, I would say start a conversation with your program manager right now and start having that conversation so you can get the amendment and revision started. I see someone said in the chat, what about summer only? For summer only, your deadline is at the end of June. But I would say start it now, sooner than later.
Yes, and we understand for summer only you haven't even started, so it might you might want to start and gather additional information to see what you might need. But definitely for year round, you know how much is left from your summer or from your school year contract, or you can anticipate, right? Some of those changes you might want to start doing them now, because one thing to keep in mind. And I know we're going to talk about that in our next meeting next week. During our semi-annual, we're going to have a section about contracting, some of the things you need to keep in mind. So we don't like contracting to overlap with amendment. So if, you know, as you're getting your planning process for contracting, it's best to focus on amendment now and get it out of the way so you cannot be behind on your invoicing. That way you can dedicate the time after that to focus on contracting.
I also just want to highlight something, Julia, in the guide that we did identify the line items associated with some of these items that, you know, PPE supplies that we don't usually do to help you with this planning process. And so if you go and look at your budget now, especially for summer only providers, and you notice that, oh, well, my program supplies budget has enough to cover me, then, you know, that will support with like needing to make the decision whether you need to do a revision or not. So those are some of the things that we try to put in place to help you with the planning right now.
Thank you, Ms. Tan. There's a question that came in from Laura Roberts. Can you please explain how the contract with a vendor for lunches work?
Okay, so Rachel, I don't know if you want to take that, but if the only vendor we sponsor, it's Flippany directly, but we know for summer there's different way you can get meal, and I believe Miami-Dade County gonna go over if you want to use them as a vendor to go to the Miami-Dade County public school route. But I know there's other vendors that some of our providers use. But as far as the Flippany one, that's the one we can tell you how to go about it. Rachel.
Yeah, I think that you should have received an email from Flippany just to contact them. I think the first step is to reach out and contact Flippany, and they will be glad to work with you and see if they can provide meals for you. So the first step, I would also reach out to your program manager and they can help you through the process. And then, as Juliet mentioned, the Miami-Dade County Public Schools is going to offer another option, which they're going to discuss in a little bit.
Thank you, Rachel. There's a question, what is the ratio allowed for in-person program now?
So right now you follow the ratio within your, because depending on which program you have, you follow the ratio in the contract. But I think you need to be more concerned about the spacing and whether you have the space for the 3 feet. We know that's a requirement. You have to keep people 3 feet distance, the kids. So you wanna, that's one criteria you wanna look at. The second one, it's really to go by, if you have like a K-5 program, so you allow up to 15 kids per one staff. So that's, we just go back to the contract, but just keep in mind, like you still need to follow the CDC guideline as far as spacing and grouping.
Thank you. Lauren has a question. For summer only, is it only 1 revision?
I can take that one, Juliet. So I think when we think about summer only contracts, they're only for 5 months. And so realistically, it can only be 1 revision by the time and we know how long sometimes revisions take. I think that's the purpose behind it. You can only get through 1 before your contract sunsets.
Thank you, Lisanne. Bernice has a question. When is the last day of summer camp?
Tatiana, there's a few questions that you've missed farther up. Once this question is answered, maybe I'm tracking it as well. So I can ask it if you want me to. When's the last day of summer camp?
So that's depend. If you use Miami-Dade County Public School site, can everybody be on mute if you're not talking, please? So if you use Miami-Dade County Public School site during the summer, so the last day this year, it's August 6th. I know your contract might say the 13th or beyond or the 20th, but we are okay with you ending your summer camp early because we know for the transition the school system is doing for in-person service, in-person instruction. They need a lot of time to get access to their site and sanitize their site. So that's why the last day is the 6th, only if you are using Miami-Dade County Public School. If you're not using Miami-Dade County Public School, you go by your contract. Whatever's in your contract as your last day, that's your last day.
Thank you, Julianne. To Stephanie's point, there's some questions around maximum number of people allowed in the classroom. Is there a maximum number of people allowed per classroom? And with regard to participant numbers, 30 is a minimum. Will there be a maximum?
No, I think there's, we're collapsing 2 concepts into one. So the maximum number of kids allowed in a classroom depends on the size of the classroom. So if you're following the guidelines, which is 3 feet, you have to determine if you have enough space. So that's not a question that we can answer globally. You have to do it individually. We're saying that there's a minimum of 30 kids for you to be considered as having a program. So if you're funded for 30 kids, then you can't say I'm going to do only 50% of my kids. We're saying you have to do 30 kids. If you're funded for 45 kids, you have to serve at least 30 kids. You can't say I'm going to fund a subset less than that. That's what we're talking about with the floor being 30 kids, not that it's the number of kids in the classroom. There's a question, Tatiana, about observations. What happens if the facility doesn't allow guests on campus? How will the observation be handled?
Yeah, as we get closer to the time, again, the observation window begins in July. We can have those conversations with any programs that are coming across that. In the past, we found ways to still do observations. But I think as the window approaches and we begin asking for schedules, if you find yourself in that situation, please discuss with your program manager, and we can see what's the best way to still complete an observation. Last summer, we definitely got creative and innovative, and we either did live Zoom and team observations, but I think it would be better to have that conversation as we get closer to the window, because we know that things are changing day by day. So,
okay. So I think we're back to your, you asked when was the last day of summer, and I think the next question is discretionary funds.
Yeah, we have a question. Can discretionary funds be used for PPE purchase and program supplies?
Yes, discretionary funds can be utilized if you've like tapped out the line item that those are associated with. Then yes, you can use discretionary funds to pay for those items.
Okay. Can you add a new item to the amendment that was not included in the original amendment?
Yes, you can. Yes, in conversation with your program manager and your accountant. Yes, you can.
Okay. Victoria from Flippany put where you will be able to contact, and again, we'll send that information in the follow-up email. There is a question on what is the minimum number of weeks allowed for summer camp?
It's based on your contract, right?
Well,
No,
there for YAS, for K through 5 youth development program, the minimum number of weeks for summer camp is 6 weeks.
Yeah, and it's the same for youth development with the option of cohorts, youth development 612. But as Juliet mentioned, those things are stipulated in your contract.
How about if space doesn't permit for 30? Could we run a hybrid model and conduct a rotation of students?
I think you need to talk to your program manager for this, because we're being very, very particular about what virtual programming we're approving. So I don't want to respond to this and then create more confusion. So I would say, Chris, if you could send that question to your program manager and we'll get the answer to you.
And I think the same for Bianca's question. She had something similar. She can reach out to her program manager. The next question is from Camila. Can capital and non-capital equipment be added to the contract purchase for additional portable sinks?
Hi, Camila. So yes, I would say talk to your program manager and accountant for this, because it's very specific to your program, so I don't want to answer for them. But just yes, non-capital equipment can be used for social distancing purposes. And the capital equipment threshold is now at 5,000. So I'm not sure you'll meet that with this purchase. But yes, just for items like that, I would just run it through your accountant and program manager for approval.
Okay. I think we have gone through all our questions. Do we want to move on to the next half of our presentation?
That's fantastic. I would like Stephanie to introduce Miami-Dade County Public School team.
Great. So thank you, Juliet. And we have a number of people from Miami-Dade County Public School on the phone with us today. We have representatives from the curriculum department, from operations, and from meals. And so I'm gonna start off with introducing Dr. Maggie Abrahante, who is also a board member for the Children's Trust. And she's gonna talk about this really innovative and exciting partnership that the Miami-Dade County Public School has initiated with the Children's Trust, and we believe is going to help amplify summer camps and really address the concerns about learning loss that some of our children have experienced over the past year since the lockdown. So Dr. Abrahante, you want to go ahead and start your presentation?
Sure. Good morning, first of all, to everyone. So many familiar faces that I've seen through the years while being part of the Children's Trust when you come and speak to us at the board meetings and share your successes during your summer programs and year-round programs. I'm very happy to be able to be part of this conversation this morning. Being a part of both entities gives me a great sense of comfort in knowing that we're all working for the same goal, and that is to provide the best services that we can for our children and their families. And so I think we will all agree that this year has been unprecedented in many ways. And you have all, just like we have at the school district, had to come up with ideas and ways to deliver services in very innovative ways to continue to support our students. So as we hopefully are getting out of this horrific pandemic that we've been in, even though it's not over yet, we are putting a tremendous amount of effort in the school district to make sure that we provide all children in Miami-Dade County as much support as possible during this coming summer before they hopefully return to school face-to-face in the fall for the great majority. So the Children's Trust, being the largest and most comprehensive summer program in our community, was a logical partner to seek in making sure that we touch as many children as we can this coming summer. Our regular summer program in Miami-Dade County Public Schools usually serves between 6,000 and 7,000 students. Funding is very limited, and so that is one of the reasons why the program is limited. Fortunately, through the federal allocations that have been made available to most governmental agencies, we can have a much larger summer effort this in 2021. And so we are so thrilled to be able to partner with you all in making sure that your campers have an opportunity to make up some of the learning loss that they have had during the year as a result of being remote or being absent from school because of quarantines and everything else that you know has been going on. So we have a number of people from the school district that will be speaking with you. And the offering will be introduced by our assistant superintendent for curriculum, which is Ms. Lisette Alves. I know she's here because I saw her earlier. So Ms. Alves, would you take this on?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Maggie, so much for that wonderful introduction. As Maggie stated, we are so excited to partner with the Children's Trust for the first time ever in providing academic guidance and materials, teachers that we're planning on deploying to all of the different camps serviced by the Children's Trust. So we are so excited to be able to present to you today some of the information that we have gathered that we've been planning just for this time. As you all know, I think there's something we can all agree upon is what a difficult year this has been for adults and our children especially. They have been taken out of their normal routines and they have been learning remotely. Some of them have been able to go back into the schoolhouse, but it just has not been the same. So we're really, really happy to see that a lot of our providers here today will be servicing our students face-to-face in our schools, trying to bring some normalcy to educating children, as well as making sure that we're addressing children all around, the whole child. So I was really happy to hear earlier from the Children's Trust, Ms. Ritchie, how you are infusing SEL strategies. So really excited to see what that's going to be about and how that's really going to help our children. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Thumbs up if you're able to see my screen. Not yet. Let's try that one more time. Yeah, excellent. I see your thumbs ups. Excellent. All right, so moving on to our presentation today. As I stated earlier, we've had a rough year in terms of educating children in this country, and actually it's been a global issue. So for our Summer 305 adventure this year, we have three main objectives. We want to mitigate learning loss and achievement gaps that may have grown during the pandemic and school closures. We want to ensure that we're addressing the social and emotional needs of students. And of course, we want to make sure that we're accelerating the start of learning recovery. For some students, that may have meant that they have some unfinished learning to catch up on. So with those three objectives in mind, we made sure that we reached out to our wonderful friends and partners at the Children's Trust, because we know that you guys touch about 18,000 of our students, sometimes even more on an annual basis. So we want to be sure that we were connecting with all of you. We were ensuring that all of you were able to provide services to our students, and that we were partnering closely with you so that we're sending certified teachers to you in order to help address reading and math deficiencies that may have been compounded due to this pandemic. I'd like to quickly just turn it over back to Maggie so she can talk to you a little bit about the deployment of the teachers, and then she'll turn it back to me so that we can talk about the materials and the curriculum that we will be providing each of your centers. So Maggie, take it away.
Sure. In many ways, in my role in this partnership is more of a or less of a bean counter. I'm the one that works with the budget and makes sure that we have the resources in place and the people that you need to do the work. So a lot of what I'm going to be discussing is the mechanics of how the assignment of the teachers will be done. And so the first thing is that each Children's Trust camp will be matched to a Miami-Dade County Public Schools. So each one of you, whether you are housed at a school district school or you are housed in your own facility, you will be matched to a district school for this component. The MDCPS teachers that will be assigned to your camps will be supervised by the principal of the school that you're matched with. So one of the questions that I know some of you may have is, you know, if I have a question or a concern, who do I go to? You will be provided the name of the school that your camp is matched to and the name and contact information for the principal that will be operating the summer program at that school. In addition to the summer camp programs that we're working with the Children's Trust, we're going to be operating a large number of programs as well through the district. And so we're going to have, as of now, 179 of our schools open during the summer. So more than likely your matched school will be an open summer site that you will have access to speak to the administrator at any time. But as far as the teachers are concerned, hourly teachers and interventionists, hourly teachers and interventionists will be assigned to each summer camp based on the number of campers that the Children's Trust provided to us that they anticipate you having. I guess your enrollment projection. Most camps, because of the size, we created a formula, will receive an hourly teacher or interventionist that will work 25 hours per week. That is the maximum amount of hours that our hourly employees are able to work because of contractual requirements. So it's very important that they do not exceed that 25-hour threshold. Small camps with very few students or 15, 20 students will receive an hourly teacher as well, but they may not work the 25 hours. They may work 10, 15, or 20, and you will be provided that information when you receive the rest of the details about your camp. And of course, large camps that have hundreds of students are going to have more than one teacher assigned to them to be able to meet all the children's needs. And when Ms. Alves goes over the program, you'll see why you will have a need for more teachers. The hourly teacher schedule is to be coordinated between you and them. I mean, we understand that you have a camp that has many, many activities, including field trips on Fridays sometimes and all kinds of other things. So we want to fit into your schedule. Make sure that we're providing the services to the students, but that does not interfere with anything else that you have planned. So each of you will have an opportunity to coordinate that. However, we request that to the extent possible, the maximum extent possible, teachers be assigned to come in the morning, because that is the normal time that they would work if they work in our regular summer school. So to the extent possible, that would be what we would ask. But we're very excited about this. This is not going to bring on additional stress on you. I hope it will take away stress from you by having someone on board that is trained. We are going to provide training for them before they go out, as well as opportunity to plan every week for the activities of the following week. And the other thing is that the days that these teachers will come in are aligned to our summer school program. So your camp may start earlier or may end later, but these teachers will go into your camps during the summer school days, which are June 28th to July 30th. So those are the 5 weeks that we're talking about for the academic support. Anything else, Ms. Alves? On this?
I think you covered it, Maggie. I just wanted to add I'm seeing some of the questions in the chat. So I just wanted to add, the teachers will be providing 45 minutes of literacy instruction and 45 minutes of math instruction during the time that they're scheduled in your camps. So we still are finalizing the teachers, the hiring of teachers, the selection of teachers, the partnering with the camps. So that's all being finalized still. We're still working on all of that. And Maggie has been our budget guru working on that as well. So as details emerge with all of this, we'll be sharing those details with the Children's Trust, and in turn, they will be sharing those with you as well. What I'd like to talk about next, moving through our slide deck, is I'd like to talk about the resources that your campers are going to be receiving. The school district is going to provide each camper in pre-K through 5, what we call a learning success kit. They're going to use that during their 45 minutes of reading time and their 45 minutes of math time. This the kit will be one for every child. It includes hands-on resources, journals, activity guides, flashcards, educational games. It also has a dry erase board and marker and many more things for the students to learn and practice those foundational skills that they're going to need. The Learning Success Kits will be delivered to the Children's Trust for easy distribution to you based on your camp enrollment by grade level. Our students, additionally, will also be receiving the following things through their school sites that their assigned teachers may ask them to bring to your camps. And I wanted to share that with you so you know that they're also receiving extra materials from us at the school level. For example, all pre-K through grade 3 students are going to receive a take-home backpack from their school site before the school year ends. The backpack contains a Kids Learn workbooks with skill-specific activities in reading and mathematics. Also includes high-interest books to keep your campers engaged in reading age-appropriate content. Other examples will include short novels that current 1st and 2nd graders are also going to be taking home for the summer reading. And teachers are going to be asking their students to bring these materials into camp to be used during those instructional moments that they're going to have with them. Finally, as we do every summer, students are going to have access to digital resources and tools via their district student portal. The e-learning toolbox will host a variety of online applications and games for students to access 24/7 from any place with internet connectivity. These resources will allow students in grades K through 12 to practice and apply what they learned during the school year and to explore any new things that they may want to learn. The e-learning toolbox is divided into 2 components, the classroom and the playground. The classroom is where students can find the applications related to all academic areas. Curriculum staff in my office have developed readiness learning paths for students to follow to address any prerequisite skills that they're going to need for the next grade level. The playground area in the e-learning toolbox is full of enrichment apps like Duolingo to learn a new language or Minecraft for education to practice coding in the virtual world. So this is information and things that materials that they're going to be receiving for our pre-K through 5th graders. Additionally, I'd like to share with you screenshots of 2 grade level instructional frameworks that my curriculum team is creating for the teachers that we're deploying. The frameworks will show the teachers how much time they're going to be spending on each of the resources and lessons provided. These are going to help guide the teachers in providing that instruction during those 45 minutes of reading and 45 minutes of math in your camps. Now let's talk about our middle schoolers. Some of you have 6th through 8th graders in your camps. The slide that you're seeing now shows the Bell Excel learning bundles that will be provided to each middle school camper. These learning bundles will include an ELA and a math student activity book, novels for the students, high interest magazines, a discovery guide, and access to virtual field trips. Additionally, all students, middle school students, as I stated earlier, will have access to the district's e-learning toolbox. So these materials will also arrive and be delivered to the Children's Trust for easy pickup by grade level by each of the camp providers. Let's take a look very quickly at the instructional frameworks that we will be providing the teachers who will be working with our middle schoolers. We're not only giving them a framework, but we're also providing them a suggested calendar so that they know the pacing that they should have during those 5 weeks of instruction. These teachers will receive training on how to utilize these materials, how to implement this when they have multiple grade levels that they are working with during those 45 minutes of reading and 45 minutes of mathematics. Let's take a look at what we're doing for our high schoolers. High school is a completely different animal, completely different animal. High school students attending your summer camps will have access to 2 leading SAT and ACT prep providers via their district student portal. These applications are called USA Test Prep for English Language Arts and Khan Academy for Mathematics. My curriculum team has also designed special learning pathways to ensure students receive the preparation that they need to master those test skills in both SAT and ACT during the summer. Then students will have an opportunity to take these assessments in the fall. As with other grade levels, high school students also have access to the e-learning toolbox and the many applications available for them to continue learning throughout the summer months. Here are examples of the instructional frameworks and calendars for the high school campers. Since the online programs are self-paced, we will include instructions on how students can link their scores to Khan Academy to get more personalized experience. But if students don't have scores available that they can link up, they can follow the recommended sequence in the calendar we develop for them and their teachers. Additionally, we are providing teachers with on-demand instructional resources for small group tutorials when students need additional assistance on some of the skills that they're practicing during their self-paced lessons. Finally, I'd just like to quickly touch upon the professional development that we're going to be providing to our teachers. PD sessions will occur on June 24th for the Children's Trust deployed teachers. I would love if one participant from each camp provider will be able to attend. I know that some of you hire your own certified teachers. It'd be great if you have that person attend, so at least they know what is happening. They get the same information as the teacher who is being deployed to provide instruction, and they can also assist with the scheduling of these teachers within your camps. The deployed teacher will also have a planning day on June 25th. This is when they will review the lessons. They will kind of digest everything that they learned during the professional development session. Hopefully they will connect with their camp providers, maybe even visit the camp so that they know where they're going to be housed, where they're going to be able to provide those lessons. We will be sending you more details and Zoom links to these professional development sessions later on. And now with that, I'd like to turn it back over to the Children's Trust, and we may be able to have some time to answer questions related to programs. And hopefully my colleagues in school operations will be able to give you additional information.
So I see a number of questions in the chat, and most of the questions I believe have been answered.
I've been trying to answer as many as I can, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, and also with the presentation, I think it's been answered. So I just want to do a quick summary so that people understand. So we have been working with the school system on this for the past 2 months to try and bring this to fruition. We believe that this is we, the Children's Trust, believe that this is an important program and it's an enhancement to what you're doing for the summer. We are not going to mandate that you do it, but we're highly encouraging you to do it. We sat and we thought about all the reasons why this would not be a good idea, and we could not come up with anything logical that would preclude us from participating, that wouldn't benefit the kids more. Each program is different, which means that a number of these questions can only be answered after you sit and talk with your program manager and with a representative from the school system to see how you want to adjust your programming to incorporate this into your program. We are looking at all kids as one. We're not separating public school children from private school children from charter school children. That means that when we provide you with the supplies, we're counting the number of kids that you're contracted to serve, and that's the number of kits we're going to be providing based on grade level. Secondly, the cost of this program is going to be borne by Miami-Dade County Public School. So this is not additional programming monies that you have to come up with. It's not going to be in your Children's Trust budget. It's an additional enhancement that the school system is providing, and we believe is a great partnership. And I think that the rest of the questions are definitely ones that we're probably going to be answering at the program level. Yes, if your program is focused on children with disabilities and you want a teacher that specialized with that skill set, you can let us know and we will work with the school system to get you that. That was a question that we've already asked and spoken about and discussed already. So I just want to provide that feedback. If you still believe that your question wasn't answered, I would ask that you direct your question to your program manager, who will make sure that Miami-Dade County Public School representative receive the question and we get the answer. And I just want to give you, we are meeting on a weekly basis with Miami-Dade County Public School representatives. So things are getting resolved quickly. And so with that, I want to introduce Linda Amica Roberts, who has been working closely with the Children's Trust since last August to streamline and make the affiliating agreement process much easier. I believe that the process and protocol that she is going to be presenting and recommending will make everybody's lives easier, and I think will be a welcome change. And yes, you will have to have an affiliated agreement for the summer. So Linda, if you want to go ahead and take the floor, that would be great.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. Are you guys going to bring the presentation up for me, or?
I believe we gave you the ability to bring up the presentation.
Yeah, you can. If you need help, we can help, but you can project.
Yeah, I didn't have it loaded, but
Juana, can you load the second presentation?
I misunderstood.
No worries, Linda. It's okay. We have the presentation. Just give us a second to pull it up.
So while they're doing that, I can kind of go over some of the things. Many of you had questions, or we received questions about if you already had an agreement and it mentioned summer, why are you having to do another one? There's a couple of reasons. One, the one that you have ends June 30th, and we would have had to do it anyway, so that you wouldn't have a break in service. So one of the things that we did is we created a template for you along with the principals. We sent out all of your requests to be in certain locations. And we this year happy that you were not getting a no on any site. What we were doing is giving you an alternate site. And oftentimes when we have to relocate an organization or move you to another site, there's a couple of things going on in the summer. Sometimes major projects cannot be done when schools are in session the 180 days. And so maintenance, capital facilities will wait until summer, and then they will shut parts of those schools completely down to do that work and have it ready when the kids come back. So we always have to reach out to and oftentimes the principals don't know that. They don't know when they're on the schedule. So a lot of times we have to send that out to the region offices and to the principals once we get information from facilities. So I know some of you were wondering about why you had a location change. Our non-negotiables to the region was if the school cannot be used, then you need to give the organization an alternate location so that they can service students that's within their service area. And so many of them really tried hard to do that. The other reason outside of construction is that many of these sites will be open, and because of social distancing, they were not able to accommodate their own programs, including the required camp program for after school if they were a summer school site. So those summer school sites with after school care were also allowed to run a summer camp program. So right there, the school is running an instructional camp and a summer camp for the camp provider, who will also accept those students into their after school program when summer school is over. So we had to relocate some of you for that reason. So the affiliate agreement process that you're looking at here on the screen, thank you so much for bringing it up. The next slide. What we tried to do is to remove a lot of the checklist items for you and just really streamline it. We sent you a template. You should have received a folder. This is only the on-site locations. You should have received a folder from staff here in school operations where we are working on the sections 1 and 2 along with you and the principal. One of the things that our attorney requires, if you can move it to slideshow, they would be able to see it. Perfect, thank you. One of the things that the attorneys want to see when you are contracting with us as part of the packet is they want to see the consent forms for review. They want to see late pickup procedures to make sure that that information is clear and it's not a part of the contract, but those are things that they would like to make sure is attached to the contracts when they receive it. Your insurance information, SunBiz information. All of the on-sites, you should have received your contract drafts. You can work on those with us and with the principal. Our goal is whatever date, and I don't have that with me, you receive as a deadline, you and your, I guess you call them contract managers with the trust, receive those dates. Please make sure that you submit those back, because my goal is to have everything on this checklist attached and ready for routing to all of the departments here in the district that would need to sign the contract. That would include our risk management insurance department, our attorneys, all of the principals, region. We will take care of routing all of these documents once you have submitted all of them. We're going to prepare to do that, and we're going to take some days to ensure that we have them routed and moved along so that they are all signed off on and ready to go, okay? So this is what it looks like when we created the template for you. It's just the general information. What we need from you is to please make sure that if this is on site only, I know you can't see it, it's kind of cut off on here somehow, or at least on my screen. You make sure that you have already spoken with the principal regarding your room numbers or the space that you're using. Most important part of the conversation is how many students you will have. They will need to work with you to make sure you have enough space for social distancing. That is the expectation, that they make sure they assign you rooms, enough rooms and space. so that you can socially distance, okay? And the rest of the information, we urge you to read through it because this is general contract language. I know we call it an affiliating agreement, but it really is a contract. So this is your summer contract document with all of the information that we need. I won't go through it. If you have questions, the person that has sent you the file with all of your documents can answer any of those questions, or in the chat, we'll make sure to respond to your questions. Okay. So for the offsite, before I go into offsite, we did include COVID information in this new agreement document, which is why we urge you not to recycle our contract documents. Always make a request for a new affiliating agreement document, because we make changes to them sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a year. At the very bottom, you would be able to see when the contract was revised. So if you have old copies of our agreements, get rid of them. And each time you are preparing to do a new agreement for whatever reason, please request the latest version of the affiliating agreement documents, okay? So this is the document that we have added. The latest version will include COVID language, making sure that you are reporting that if you're on site at a school, how you are to report that to the principal, and what they would need to do to assist with tracing and preparations for sanitization. Closing of the school site, all of that is included, and the waivers that we do not collect, but you are to keep on file for each student that you have in your program if you are on site. You are getting this agreement for off-site services. Any of you that are not using our public school, you will get a different agreement. This is what that agreement will look like. If you can tap on it, it's gonna move those documents. Okay, so I don't know why it didn't, but that's okay. So what happens here is the information in that document is that if you are off-site, and we can remove that first bullet where it talks about lunch. If you are not required to use our food and nutrition if you are off-site. However, if you are on-site, you will have to do that. But we can remove it. If you are requesting services from food and nutrition and you're off-site, that first bullet in the packet that you're going to receive will remain there. This contract for offsite is because we are sending our teachers to your location, and because of the liability clause that's there, we need to have this contract with you that we are providing a teacher, a certified teacher, and that we are also providing all of the supplies that's needed for them to assist with instruction. Then when you submit this agreement back, it's very simple for you that are off-site. That's pretty much what this agreement is that you will provide space for the organization, for the teachers to operate, that your staff will remain with the teacher and be an active participant. So all of those things are in the actual agreement. When you get the bullets, if there's questions, whoever is sending it to, you can email back to them. Any questions you have for offsite, because we know many of you are not familiar with this process. If you're offsite, usually the ones on site are very familiar with this contract. If you can move to the next slide, please. So what has to be attached to those documents that we just showed you is your certificate of insurance. We would ask that since we are sending our teachers, certified MDCPS teachers, to your sites, that you would list Miami-Dade County Public Schools as a certificate holder. Whoever your insurance carrier is will know how to go back and add MDCPS as a holder. And we then included the sample in your packet of what the certificate of liability insurance will require for this agreement to take place. Very simple. I know most of you already carry insurance. This is just making the district a holder during the time that we're operating in your facility. Okay. And the other document that you would need to attach would be from the Division of Corporations and SunBiz. You would need to attach your actual SunBiz up to your latest SunBiz document showing that you're active, along with and which shows your actual name, the true name of the organization, because that's what we're going to go back and make sure we put on your agreement. Now, when you receive it, we will have looked up, our attorneys will have already looked up the actual name, but if you can attach that document for us, it becomes part of the contract. When we move through the routing process and getting them signed off, we won't have any missing documents or have to make any requests. Okay. I don't want to prolong time or have questions, but I do want to answer everything that's needed. We will send you the contract again. Each of you that we have off-site for, you will receive that. Please reach out to us with questions. We're happy to answer any of those questions for you. At this time, I don't know if Penny or Ms. Prita from Food and Nutrition is on. I would like for them to be able to answer any questions related to food and nutrition and meals for the summer.
Hi, yes, Lindsay. Oh, go ahead, Penny.
Hi there, it's Penny Parham. And I know Patty Prita is on the phone. First of all, I just want to say thank you for including us in today's meeting. So informative for our department, very much appreciated. I'm going to introduce Ms. Patty Prita, but because so many I know in the Children's Trust have worked in the past with Ms. Olga Botero from our office, I am pleased to say that Ms. Botero is enjoying her retirement. We miss her, but we have an amazing executive director, Ms. Patty Prita, who is quote unquote the new Olga, but Patty is an incredibly experienced staff member that you will find wonderful to work with in our summer programs. So I'll introduce it to Patty, and just want to say that we have more information that will be coming as this planning has progressed. But you know, please look for information from Ms. Prita, and I'll pass it over to Patty.
Thank you, Penny. Hi, everyone. Good morning. And yes, as has been said, we will be happy, as in the past, to be serving breakfast and lunch to any program at an MDCPS site. We will be able to, we're going to be sending you a survey, hopefully next week, which is the survey. If you've received meals from us in the past, it's very similar to that. Basically, just we need information such as the days of operation, any days that you're not operating, if there is any field trip information that you have, your contact information, your enrollment, how many meals you will be requesting, things like that, so that we need that information, and we'll give you a deadline that we need that survey back so that we can do our planning for the number of meals that we need to plan for. And the sites. We also will be giving you information regarding training. Again, if you've received meals from us in the past, you know that you've all had to attend training specifically on food services. The summer program, yes, although it provides free meals to students, children under 18, it's very highly regulated. They have auditors out in the schools a lot. Again, I don't know if that will happen this year because of COVID, but in the past, they're in our schools from the state pretty much every day. So we need to make sure that everyone, there are people trained at each site, that they know how to order the meals, document the meals being served to the students, and keeping the paperwork, the documents that are required on hand, so that any supervisor or anyone that goes to the site can view that documentation. So information regarding training and requirements will be forthcoming. And I think that's basically, for right now, that's what we need. We wanted just to say that we will be, giving more details in the weeks to come. And we do look forward to, providing meals for all of you and working with you. And I've dealt with some people already for the SACs because I'm also over the after school care programs as Olga was. So just look forward to continuing to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. So there's a bunch of questions in the chat, and again, want to just kind of reiterate and summarize what was said.
Okay.
So we're partnered with Miami-Dade County Public Schools, as Dr. Amika Roberts said. They're going to be working with us to ensure that there's appropriate space for your programming on school sites. We have been providing them with the sites that you've requested, and we've been providing updates, and they've been communicating back to us if they can't accommodate the request. They're going through the list, so bear with us as we complete the list. And as Dr. Amika Roberts said, if the site that you requested is not available, they're working to find an alternate site. So it's not, oh, sorry, you can't be there. Good luck with that. They're actually working to find alternative sites. I know there's a few organizations that requested a particular site and they've found alternative sites for them. So we are working very closely with the school system this year. You just need to submit the information for your site request, and we'll make sure that it gets processed. Again, and then there's some questions about the difference between if you're on site or you're off site. The curriculum information is for everybody that's a Children's Trust funded provider. We're not making a distinction as to whether or not your children are Miami-Dade County Public Schools students or not. And we are going to be providing the resources to your site based on the number of contracted participants you have in the Children's Trust contract. You will have to sign, complete an affiliated agreement even if you're off the school site, if you're going to receive the services and the supports. So we highly encourage you to complete the forms. If you have not gotten the form yet, please, Erica put her information in the chat. Please reach out to Erica to get the necessary information. And they know which program manager is assigned to your program, and they're copying our program managers on any email and communication so that we can stay on top of it. It is imperative that everybody complete the information by the due date set forth, because we're going to be moving the Children's Trust programs in bulk. And if you do not meet the deadline and and you're now left in the back, that is not going to be a reason or justification for meeting your Children's Trust contractual obligation this summer. So we do not want to be in a position where somebody is late with turning in the information and then their information, their agreement isn't approved in time for summer. That will not be an excuse for why you cannot provide summer services. So I just want to make sure that people understand you need to follow. If you're unclear, you're confused, please reach out to Erica, reach out to your program manager with whatever specific questions you have, and we'll make sure that they get answered. It is very important that we adhere to the rules set forth and the timeline set forth to make sure that this comes off as effortlessly as possible. This is a lot of kids we're talking about. Trying to coordinate for 18,000 kids is not a small feat. And so we want to make sure that we have the least amount of hiccups possible. And then as it relates to the food and nutrition program, it's mostly for the programs that are on Miami-Dade County site. I do remember, Patty, last year, I don't know if you were here, but last year some of our offsite programs also got meals, and that, I believe that might be the root of that question is, will the programs that are offsite also be eligible to get meals again this summer.
Yes.
Right. Yes, we have done that in the past for a few selected sites. You know, we just have to take into account, you know, the site and do they have adequate, you know, shelter, storage of meals and everything like that. So that's done on a more case-by-case basis. But yes, that is available for some sites, even if they're not on our campuses.
Okay. And so what's the deadline? I believe the deadline was today. If you haven't gotten your affiliated agreement, then the deadline is next week, April 30th. Please, guys, we worked really hard for the last few months with the school system to streamline this process. So we really need your support and cooperation in making sure that we get all the necessary information in, and so that we can allow them to process the information as quickly as possible. I don't know if I see Erica, you were in the chat, monitoring the chat and responding. I don't know if there's any more questions in the chat that you want to bring up and respond to.
Stephanie, if I may, there are a couple of things that, I don't know, is there an echo? We're good? Okay. A couple of things that I saw coming up that I think are important for everyone to hear. And so one of them is you mentioned it several times very eloquently, the importance of making sure that the children are registering your program on a timely manner, so that when the Children's Trust provides the information to us, as many of your children are included, because we are funding these teachers with federal funds. And just like there's oversight on their side, we have oversight also on the expenditure of dollars on these teachers. So we need to make sure that we have that information. The other thing that I saw several times was the issue of the private school students and their access to services and their access to the portal. And so we are providing materials for everyone in the program, regardless of what school they attend during the school year. Portal usage, we're working on trying to come up with a solution so that they will have access to some of the programs that we have available for the MDCPS students. The charter school students do have access to the portal, so there's no issue with them. But we're working on a solution for the non-public school students.
But regardless, Maggie, I just want to jump in and say access to the portal will not be absolutely necessary. That will be just extra, above and beyond. We will be focusing the instructional time with those teachers on the actual materials that we are shipping to all of you.
And then if I can add one more thing, my apologies, it triggered something Maggie asked, requested for in terms of accountability. When the offsite, I'm speaking to those that are offsite, meaning not using an MDCPS school. Really, it probably should apply to all. Maggie, you would just have to let me know. We have included in your contract, when you receive it, you will see attachment A. Attachment A is a sample roster that we are collecting, the teacher will be collecting weekly. It indicates the student name, ID number. So you will have to include the ID number. When you receive this, the teachers will ask you, or you should give them that information weekly so that we know exactly who was in attendance. This is for accountability purposes. So we're not concerned if you don't have the, or you can't get, or the parent doesn't know and the student doesn't know the student ID number, that's fine. We just need the name of the student and the school that they attend.
So we're trying to make all the processes as simple as possible, minimizing what needs to come from each of you and trying to get as much information directly from the trust so that we don't have to, be asking you to do so many extra things beyond what you normally have to do.
And what I want to say to that, in order for us to facilitate, Tatiana mentioned before the timeliness of entering the information into a system. What I would say, it's beyond just the demographic. Let's say if you are a school year, if you're school year providers, year-round providers, if you have any student, you already have the demographic and you know they're coming back for summer camp, you can assign them to a summer camp group. So that's how we're gonna know those students, and you don't have to wait for attendance. We're not asking for attendance because summer camp has not started yet. So we just wanna make sure you assign them to summer 2021 camp. That way we know those students, they were part of your school year program and now they're part of your summer. So now if it's brand new students that were not part of your school year program, as soon as you get the parent package, we ask that you enter the demographic first, then assign them to the group for summer. So please do that. Don't wait until your program starts, because that's the information we're going to use to know how many PPE, a lot of things like we're gonna estimate like curriculums and things like that. It's based on your actual recruitment for summer, based on the class, the age or the grade of that child. So it's very important for that information. That way you can have accurate information back from us. When we give you the school system send you the supply and we give you PPE, we know exactly, I mean, not exactly a good estimate, I should say, because I know you probably will be recruiting throughout, summer. So it's very important. And if you need some refresher on how to do that, to assign groups, please let your program manager know. We can host like an open lab just to walk you through the process.
And if I may add one last thing, is part of the partnership also involves having our schools inform the families that your programs are available. So you should see some assistance with recruitment, in the sense that when the parents receive their registration for summer and the schools talk to them, they will let them know also that these other programs are available, and hopefully that will assist with some of the recruitment as well.
And I believe there's a question about if you need one affiliated agreement per sign. I know Erica or Dr. Roberts can speak to that. I know you guys you try to streamline that process to have one agreement per organization. If Dr. Roberts, if you can speak to that.
So what is the exact question? If so, some of you have multiple sites, and so it'll just be one contract, and then it'll have the specific information for that site. So if you are organization A and you're going to be at Tucson, Morningside, and Arch Creek, that's one agreement for us, and all three will be on there. If you are site organization A and you're at Tucson, Arch Creek, Morningside, and you have an off-campus site, we're going to put all of it on one agreement, and each section will be specific to
priority for this to happen.
What? Sorry, say it again. Are you? I think you're on. Okay, go ahead, Linda.
Okay. So you will just have one agreement. If we make a mistake and send you two, let us know so we can put them together. This is a huge task for us. It's a lot of agreements, but the expectation is that you will only need one agreement, and we will build in all of your locations in that one agreement with the correct information. And then those principals will all sign off on the one agreement, including their regions, okay?
Dear Carter, you have a question about when should the demographic be entered? I mean, in the guide, we put within 3 days of completing, because you're not gonna receive all your summer forms at once, right? So as soon as you get them, if they're not currently in the system, I just wanna stress, if the student already in the system, you don't have to re-enter the demographic.
Yes, I got that, thank you.
Right.
Okay, and stuff. I just wanted to be able to make sure we have an accurate count and everything. So since you are using that to sort of determine the PPE information we're getting, as well as the summer 305 kits.
No, we're not using that.
Okay, thank you.
We're using contracted amount. We need that information because we need to provide it to the school system, and we're going to be sending the information on on an interval that we haven't decided yet. And so as soon as you get the information, just enter it into the system. Don't wait for a stack of them to come in and then enter. And as Juliet said, if the kids are going to after school programming right now, it should be a simple exercise to just put them into the groups for summer. And then we will be able to pick up and know which kids are going to be going to summer camp. So
thank you. That's helpful. Thank you.
We don't want you to wait until July to put the information into the system. We want you to put it in now.
Yes. And as far as PPE, we're going to go by the plan. Whatever number was part of your plan that was approved, we're going to use that as a estimate to determine PPE. Okay, so that was, I don't know if there's any question left, but we're gonna make sure after the meeting to go through all of them to see if we have anything pending that we need to address or clarify. Part of the follow-up, that's when you will receive those responses if there's any pending questions. Right now it's 11:49, we have 10 minutes to spare. I don't wanna keep you if you don't have to stay. But I would say that 10 minutes, if you have some burning question, instead of putting in the chat, if you want to take yourself off mic and ask the question live, we'll take it.
The one question I would have is this with Dade County Public Schools, is it just a one-year thing or do we know yet?
We're starting with this summer and then we're going to continue and see.
Good. I think it's great for our kids.
Yes, yes. We hope that every funded program for the summer elects to participate in this. I believe that this is definitely the start of something amazing and awesome. And really the success of it will ultimately be on our providers participating at what level.
If we are located on site at a Miami-Dade County Public School, will we be restricted to only having students who attend that school for the summer, or will it be open to all Miami-Dade County students?
Maggie? I think yes, right? You're on mute.
That's a Linda question. It's whatever, it's based on what's in the affiliating agreement.
Can you repeat the question, please? Sorry, Maggie.
Okay.
Okay, so if we are located at a Miami-Dade County Public School site, will we be restricted to only having students attend our summer programming who are registered at that school, or will it be open to all Miami-Dade County students?
That's a very good question. So when we use the word affiliation because affiliate means of that school or the district. In this case, we're asking the principals to sign off because the assumption is that those are the kids that you guys will be working with in their schools. And that's why you selected it. If you look at the agreement, it will state that you may be required to do a facilities usage agreement. I know a couple of you have kids in your program that comes from charter schools. Those schools are not covered those students are not covered in terms of insurance with us. Therefore, you will have to do a facilities use as well. And it does state that on the contract. If you look at it, it states that you will need to complete both documents. Now, I need to go back to something really quickly. And I'm saying this with the trust on the phone because some of you have stated to us that you don't have money for security, right? We don't supplant, meaning we're not going to charge you for something that the district is already paying for. You don't have to pay for the building. It's already there. That's what we're giving. You don't have to pay electric, any of those things, right? But what happens because these people are unionized and we have to have staff there, such as security, trained security who know protocols that if there is a lockdown, code yellow, red, green, that they are trained employees of MDCPS. They will be working hourly. That will cut the higher amount that you have been paying with the overtime. So in this case, if the principal talks with you and you have, let's say some of you have 100 kids, there's no way around not having 1 or 2 security monitors. If I were the principal, I would need those security people there, and you kind of do want to make sure that somebody is there. So those might be the only costs that you will have. In that case, if we see in the agreement, you will then have to do the facilities use, because principals cannot collect money. It goes through our budget office. That's done by completing the facilities use. So to answer your question, if you are bringing students in that is not an affiliate that you have with that school and that principal, please be prepared to do the facilities usage, allowing you to bring those other students in. If the principal is stating, I don't have programming, but you can use the building, and you're gonna have to pay for security because I don't have it there already, then the expectation is that human capital has to be paid, and they don't have the budget for that in the summer. Okay?
Thank you. I think we'll take one last question from Jose. I see your hand is raised, and then Stephanie, you can do a closing remark.
Sure. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. It's not a question. I just wanted to thank you so much. This is a huge surprise for you guys to give us these teachers for the summer. I think it's going to go a long way with these students that have unfortunately lapsed a little bit during the school year. But I also wanted to mention that the transition has been and is going to be and is right now currently just going so smoothly thanks to everything that you guys have been doing, the communication, getting the affiliating agreements out. Stephanie Gorey and Eric Urbanik sent them out already, and we've been able to work on them. And the way you guys itemize everything, the information, I mean, I just wish that we had this experience with all of our funding sources. It's just been great. So thank you guys so much for all of that. It really is a huge help, the way that you communicate with us and the resources you give us. So thank you so much.
Great to hear. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Jose. I want to thank everybody that came today and were on the court participating, asking questions, and really engaged in the conversation. I know you'll go back to your organizations, and your other staff that might not have participated might ask you some additional questions. Again, please send those questions to your program manager, and we will work to make sure that every question is answered and resolved. And we're working very diligently to ensure that you're ready to start summer camp. We know that summer camp is going to start in about 2 months' time. So we're aware of what the clock is. And as I mentioned before, the Children's Trust team and the school district's team are meeting on a weekly basis to address and resolve every issue and question that comes up. So rest assured that this is being given top priority by both organizations. And again, thank you, Dr. Abrahante, Amika Roberts, Frida, thank you for, and Alves, thank you guys for your energy and your presentation. I think this was great, and hopefully it's a start of something big and beautiful that will continue for years to come. So thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you all. Bye.
Camila, I know you had your hand raised, but oh, she's gone. She can email us the question.
I think Maggie answered it for her.
I'm sorry?
I think Maggie answered it for her in the chat.
Okay, perfect. And thank you, Bianca, for download. I think somebody was asking about transcript. Bianca already provided that so people can download. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna end the session.
Were you saying something to me?
Oh no, I saw you raise your hand, but I didn't see you until later. So I was wondering if you still had a question.
No, it actually got answered on the chat. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
Bye.
Okay, thank you everyone. I'm gonna close now the session. Okay, bye.